Anyway, we are all bursting with questions. The floor is open. Maybe those who have to Paranjoy or any of the other panelists. Yeah, the one hand going up here. Please.
I have one question for Mr.
Just one sec.
One,
Oh, okay, you have a mic.
With Mr. Manjang Iyer. If the Iran-Pakistan-India pipeline were to be made, what would be the cost of gas at the wellhead and in India?
I'm afraid I'm afraid, in all honesty, I can't answer that because negotiations on price had not even begun when I was the minister. And as far as I know, nothing much has happened on that. But it's likely to be pretty high. I think the price of gas is likely to be pretty high. And either we discover an alternative source, and Dr. Manmohan Singh was involved in finding that alternative source. I think he thought that nuclear energy could provide us with substantially a substitute to fossil energy. But it would appear from all the figures that I've seen that even 50 years from now, nuclear energy would not account for more than 6% or 7%, maybe 9% of our energy basket. So while it would be desirable to move in the direction of especially thorium electricity, where we would become the Saudi Arabia of nuclear energy, I think these are pipe dreams for the future. It may happen in 50 years from now, but we somehow have to survive as a nation between now and then. And therefore, we have to access energy, we have to pay the price of energy, and then see how we can moderate its impact upon the consumer through state subsidies.
Can I ask one question?
Yeah, 1 second.
Can I
No,
just
let's have one question at a time. Yeah, please, behind you.
Okay. Can I just add one point, Gurveer, on the issue of pricing? Okay, see, I'll tell you why it's a very complex situation. As Mr. Iyer himself has pointed out, you have international benchmarks for crude oil. You have West Texas Intermediate, you have Brent. In the case of gas, you have a price for liquefied natural gas. Now, that is the gas gets compressed, liquefied, stored in cryogenic containers, transported, then regasified. The short point is as follows. There are 70 countries across the world where gas is produced. And the price at the wellhead varies from less than $1 to over $8.5. So it's a highly fragmented market. And it was interesting that I read in one of the papers today that Mr. Arun Jaitley today raised the question, why should everything related to gas be priced in US dollars? You don't do it in the case of coal. I mean, though we are importing maybe 15 or 20% of our requirements of coal. I'm just raising this as a point, that's all.
I have two straight questions to Paranjoy, very shortly. Before that, I should admit I have read only 41 pages of your book, and I am hooked to your book.
Thank you, sir.
Do you differentiate between crony capitalism of Congress, UPA government, and that of the BJP NDA,
No, sir.
secularism apart?
No, sir.
And second question is, what should be the ideal price of gas?
See,
Kejriwal says the cost of production of natural gas is below, hardly $1,
right.
American dollar.
This is a very, very difficult question to answer. You could argue that the price of gas should be something if you knew what the cost of production of gas is. It's not I, it's Mr. Yashwant Sinha's committee. They're saying that there should be an audited cost of production. What Govind earlier said, it's high risk business, it's high technology business. So at some point of time, somebody has to arrive at some sort of a cost, okay? Maybe it's a government, maybe it's an independent agency, somebody has to do it. Because across the world, you do arrive at such figures after accounting for the high risks, the risk is involved in making these investments. But the point is, in India, we don't have such a benchmark. So whether it should be 234 or 420 or 840, you are having administered pricing, and it's decided by a small group of people. And or formulas which are so complex that Gurveer calls them double Dutch. It's also called JCC, Japanese Crude Cocktail.
Pandeyji.
Sir, Piyush here from Times. I would like to ask you, Mr. Iyer, that You are in government for 20 months, and so you'd know what is the cost of gas production by Reliance. So if you can give us the figure.
Shahid, I'd like to add to that. This is Shuchi from ET. How is it possible that in a sector which is so highly regulated, that Reliance does not have to voluntarily disclose and tell the public what is their per unit cost of production?
Why isn't Reliance voluntarily saying what is their per unit cost?
First, to answer the gentleman in red before I move to the lady in red.
Pink.
To you, in the 20 months that I was minister, I didn't need to concern myself with gas pricing. I needed to concern myself with the pricing of petroleum products. And that is when I realized that there will always be a gap between the pricing of the energy source and the pricing of the product that comes out of that energy source. And that there will be a gap between them which the government will have to find some way of filling. And for that, I adumbrated the principle of equitable burden sharing. And that's what I would continue to do today. I really don't know why our governments, the one that was of which I was a part and now here, have decided to involve themselves in the nitty-gritty of pricing the gas. Let it be decided in the market, which was the basis on which the NELP was formulated. Until the NELP, the entire output was in the public sector, and the public sector had completely administered pricing. Now, we didn't realize maybe at the time of starting NELP that the crude oil price would rise from $10 a barrel to possibly $150 a barrel. But that was the policy under which this contract was signed. So, do we need to shift the goalpost today merely because it's become uneconomical? The market will make it economical if in fact there is justification to raising it. And if the price of producing that oil and gas is such as to make it completely uncompetitive, then why are we leaving flakes of gold in Kolar? The Bharat gold fields is not producing any gold there. Not because there aren't flakes of gold, but because it's far too expensive to mine those flakes of gold. So let us then put our money into finding the technology that is appropriate for the Indian geological conditions. And the Indian geological conditions, as I indicated just now, are very peculiar to India, that we don't have such a big lava overlay anywhere else in the world, and the depths at which either in the Bay of Bengal or in the Arabian Sea we have to drill are also unmatched except perhaps in the Gulf of Mexico. So we have got our own problems. Let's put a lot of money into finding solutions, technological solutions to our problems, which is why I suggested that the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas should add to its security and technology. That's what we have to concentrate on, not pricing.
But sir, we didn't got your answer.
the
For
There
Indian
is
cost of
another-
gas production, sir.
1 second. We'll answer the other question.
I can't speak for Reliance. You ask them.
So you're the minister.
Such a highly regulated sector. Can you hear me?
You know, the NELP was based on deregulating it. It was a conscious decision that was taken that we would deregulate it, but then we couldn't let it go completely, and that's why the Petroleum Regulatory Board was conceived in my time, although it was stillborn a little later. But that was why they thought they needed to bring it in, and to keep it as a regulator outside the Ministry of Petroleum, so that the minister is not concerned with these issues. It will be the regulator who would be concerned with these nitty-gritty issues.
So you're saying it's irrelevant that their cost of production is less than $1?
1 minute, please. May I just add a point? None of us really know what is the price of gas. Somebody has to find it. I repeat it. I don't know. You don't know. None of us know. Technical experts have to arrive at these figures. technical experts who have access to data. You know, one small point I wanted to talk about regulation.
But Rangarajan committee tried to do that.
Rangarajan, as you say, had a very complex formula, which might just be scrapped. It's like prices prevailing at 3 places, including Japan, which doesn't produce a single, a bit of hydrocarbons, and the imported price of LNG. The question that I raised earlier, should you be comparing apples with oranges? Should you be comparing the wellhead price of gas with liquefied natural gas? That's one point. And I just wanted to add on this issue of on onshore versus offshore, deep sea versus, Bombay High. Just one point on regulation. There is a body called the Petroleum and Natural Gas Regulatory Board, whose writ, and I should say deliberately so, is confined to pricing and distribution of city gas, used largely for cooking, and to some extent also for transportation. All right. Vajanti, you know more about this. The Directorate General of Hydrocarbons is a wing of the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas. It is, some people call it a regulator, but it's not really, it's part of the government. At best, it's a technical division. So this is the state of regulation. That's the only point I wanted to make. Yeah.
Just to add, there were, I think in the US, there were 30 different categories of natural gas. Pricing linked to 30 different categories, like you say, onshore, offshore, wellhead, or the type of gas, etc., etc. So it is definitely a difficult question. But the point I think the House is searching, Paranjoy and maybe the others in the panel is what is wrong in what Reliance is wanting. What is they also probably want market forces to determine the gas pricing. Yeah?
See, as a corporate entity, as a privately owned corporate entity, it is their goal to maximize their profits, to maximize returns to the shareholders. There's no doubt about that. The government, as a representative of the people of this country, are the custodian of natural resources that belong to the people of the country. Therefore, it is the responsibility of the government that those resources are allocated and priced in a manner that maximizes.
So they must get into pricing then. Then that defeats what Manishankarji is saying.
You see, if you are a socialist economy, then you don't convert the ONG Commission into an ONG corporation. And you don't give up your right to exploit your own resources by saying anyone in the world can come and do it. Now, when you had the NELP, which everybody applauded, a great breakthrough that was done by, actually it was done by the Gujarat government, of all governments. It lasted 9 months. It was in that time that they did it. So having done that, having announced a policy where we are deliberately inviting the world and Indians to enter this sector and encouraging them to do so by saying there will not be administered prices. The prices will be discovered in the market. To then find that one player gets into difficulty, and so the government impledes itself in order to have an auqat under which it starts the system restarts the system of administered pricing while not dismantling NEL. The result is that fresh investment in the sector has virtually dried up. There's nobody from the world who's willing to come in if we are going to have administered prices. The Indian companies are not able to get it done unless the government takes upon itself the odium of doubling and perhaps tripling what these prices will be. It's doubled already from 234 to 420 and would be doubled again when you go above $8. So there's a heavy political price to pay. But the government is paying that for a system that was founded on a basic principle that it will be determined in the market and not by government. So we're losing a lot of investment also. So please, I think what we need to be clear, and if we are going to go back to exploiting our natural resources on the basis that there will be administered prices, then I think we should renationalize the ONGC.
So if you talk of numbers and profitability, sir, one last question. So if you talk of number and profitability, the government...
Yeah, she's been asking.
It's fine, you can ask them.
Okay, all right. Last question.
Yeah, last one. So the government has approved an investment of 8.8 billion for Reliance, of which they have only invested 6 billion so far. They have already recovered 12 billion, double the amount so far, according to government figures. They have recovered another 7 billion by selling their 30% stake to BP. So for 6 billion investment, they have recovered about 19 billion, that is 3 times. Government has not yet got a single penny out of this gas. They're still fighting. So don't, if it is not chronic capitalism,
Excellent
what is it?
observation. You've done your arithmetic perfectly.
So Paranjoy will applaud you for that. Yep,
Piyush, but this is not rocket science like this, isn't it? If you're Reliance Industries, you have to do it this way itself, right? So what is so surprising in it?
No, but the Supreme Court says that this is like the gas is natural resource and the people of India should get the benefit. Why Reliance
No, we're
Industries
talking
should get
about the money
benefit?
that Reliance has made.
Huh?
We're talking about the money that Reliance has made that you are talking about.
Yeah, the money Reliance made, they made 300% profit on whatever.
That's what
they
any
invest.
business house does, right?
no cross talk, please. There's a question.
Okay,
there.
sorry,
One
I just
second.
had 2 questions.
Okay.
One was for Mr. Iyer and one was for Paranjoy. Mr. Iyer, you've been talking about that government, the ministry should not be into gas pricing. My question is that why should the ministry be into pricing at all, whether it is the APM that you're talking about, which is for petroleum products, or even for natural gas? And second one for you is, Paranjoy, is that your book is quite interesting, but was wondering why you've not gone into the health of the KG Basin reservoir, which could also have given answers about the low production on one side. So just help. Thanks.
If I may answer first before you, Mr. Manishankar, is that I have said there are conflicting and contradictory reports as to why gas production from the Krishna Godavari D6 area is less than 1/4 of what was originally estimated when it was talked about as the biggest discovery, etc., etc. According to Reliance, it's due to geological surprises and geological uncertainties. According to certain technical experts, including Mr. Gopalakrishnan, who was appointed by the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas, the reason why the production is lower than what was initially projected is because Reliance did not dig the amount of wells that they were supposed to, drill the number of wells it was supposed to do, and conduct the various kinds of tests they were supposed to do. I, as a reporter, am placing the different points of view for you. You're welcome to make up your own mind. Matter is under arbitration. It took 2 years for the third arbitrator to be appointed. There are 2 cases pending in the Supreme Court, and I'm an interested party, I should tell you. And the Reliance also says so, because one of the petitions is filed by an NGO called Common Cause, and I happen to be a member of the governing body of that. So I am very much an interested party, and I make no bones about that. It's given in the book. So these have to be decided by technical experts and not lay journalists like me. That's all. And one last point, the other is this great land grab which is supposed to have had. It's not I, but the CAG, which says that they should have relinquished about 90% of the area, which they haven't. Mr. Iyer, you would like to say something?
100% area. Total area is of 50,000 square kilometer.
My question is
The government allocated 25,000 square kilometer. But now they realize it demanding all the 50,000 square kilometer there. How? How long money will be play with the national property? That is also nationalistic.
Good questions. Excellent questions.
How long they will be?
Good question.
Paranjoy, sorry, I'm disturbing you again.
One minute.
Just
if,
what-
if Mr. Iyer could respond to her question, would you mind repeating that question?
I personally believe, as a socialist, that government should be pricing everything. But as you have decided that the energy, the original energy source will have pricing determined by the market, but you did not take a simultaneous decision that petroleum products will be also determined in the market. I believe that in a democracy, since the bulk of the voters are also the consumers, that the government has a special responsibility to ensure the fair and equitable pricing of petroleum products. But that perhaps the better way of securing energy security is by not having government pricing of these natural products.
But
So there's no contradiction.
But Mr. Iyer, that's
No,
not what
second
the
question.
Supreme Court said.
Can we just 1 second? There's a gentleman here wanting to ask. One second.
This my not so much a question.
It's on.
Paranjoy has written on many other natural resources and has had views. The point I'm trying to drive at is, but going back to the question of gas, we have a situation, let me first say my difficulty, I would be very distraught with any answer if the answer is not just the correct figure, but the correct process. Because a wrong process and a correct answer is not going to help you in the future. At best, it will be a one-off. Now, we have a market situation, we have private sector competition, and we believe that the market will determine efficiency. You come to certain things where private competition does not work perfectly because resources are few, government interface is required. In advanced countries, people have moved to more evolved regulatory governance institutions, not like what we have here, but which seek to mimic competitive conditions where none exist. And that leads to programmed investments, pricing. It's complex, but they get better and better. Now, what I'm finding in India is that we were moving half-heartedly towards a governance institution. We never set up an institution, we set up a principle called an NELP, but with no one to govern it. And at the first hurdle, we are collapsing into administered pricing with private investment. Nothing will ever come out of this. What I'm trying to say is that since you are an author, maybe you should also see that in future, we not just have the right answer, but the right mechanisms towards getting such answers in the future.
I have no disagreement with what your comments are, Mr. Aga. All I can say is I'm not an expert, I'm a journalist. I've tried to raise some of these issues. I think on occasions it's important to raise these issues even if you don't have the answers. And I don't really have all the answers.
Pardon, Jaishuchi here again. This is for you. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I finished. Yes, yeah, sure.
So in your research for the book, what is the cost of per unit production of gas that you came across as far as whatever Reliance voluntarily discloses in any of its public documents?
The honest truth is I don't know, and I repeat to you over and over again. Some technical group of experts or a group of technical experts have to arrive at this.
That's
one minute. The amounts or what have been suggested by various reports, verified, unverified, leaked documents, which are all there in the book, it's varied from $1 to $3. Just a few days ago, the Times of India put out a report suggesting that the cost of production of Krishna Godavari gas is $3 a unit without attributing the source. Now, I don't know the source of this information.
I'll give you a proper source. The source is NECO, which is their partner, which says, because it's listed in Canada and they have very strict voluntary disclosures. So there the company clearly says that between 2009 to now, their per unit cost of production is just over $1. Right. So do you think that has any bearing on the entire pricing mechanism that they seem to be pushing so hard for?
All right. Thank you, Shuchi, for making that observation. It's also there, not the recent NECO observation, but the earlier NECO of Canada's views. And the point that is being made, if indeed the cost of production is $1 per unit or $3 a unit, what's a fair price? Is it 4.2? Is it 8.4? How do you factor in the risk element, all the extras that, the high risk? This is supposed to be a casino business. Everybody loves to call it a casino business. But at some point of time, somebody has to take a call on what is fair.
And that's why I'd like to just also, broaden the question and ask Mr. Iyer that, who exactly
Can we have that as the last question, please?
Yes, last question, sir. And who actually pays for this gas? Who are the largest producers, which are in the fertilizer sector and the power sector? And who are also heavily subsidized, so it's the government who ends up paying them. So, as far as the pricing...
I personally, ideologically, believe that government exists to pay the people. It doesn't exist to pay the businessmen. But the businessmen are getting 5 lakh crore off every year. And the people of India are getting 4 lakh crore every year. But that is called stimulus. This is called subsidy. Stimulus is treated by the pink papers as a highly desirable thing, whereas subsidies are regarded as a terribly bad thing. And it is this vocabulary and this attitude which I don't accept, But I admit straight at the beginning, and I say it proudly right at the end, I am a socialist, and therefore I do find it difficult to be on the same page as the Economic Times.
There's a last question, Jyoti, and then I mean our guests will be around, so we can carry on with the questions later on. But Jyoti,
A question to Paranjoy. Aam Aadmi, Kejriwal is the only one who has been raising this issue very boldly and all across the country, whether he's understood or not. Apparently, the Banaras by-lanes didn't understand him too well. So I wanted to ask you, since he has got a very, very bad press, do you think this is linked to that, as he alleges?
You know, ma'am, I have quoted what Kejriwal has to say. I have quoted what are there in Neera Radia's conversations with Ranjan Bhattacharya. You know, I have been accused of being an AAP supporter because I I voluntarily gave them some inputs about what should be a media policy. But I would just like to try and explain to you that he's not the only person who's raised questions. And let me suggest that on the 2nd of August 2013, the chairman of the Standing Committee of Finance, Mr. Yashwant Sinha, and his committee were members of different political parties, including Piyush Goyal, who's your present energy minister. And I'll just read out the last paragraph of what that committee had to say. It said the committee would strongly recommend the government to review forthwith its decision to raise gas prices and come out with fresh pricing, which is more balanced and holistic and closely related to the audited cost of production and a reasonable return on the capital invested. That's not me, that's Yashwant Sinha speaking for you, ma'am.
But he's done it across the board as an election issue. So do you think that bad press he's got is partly because of that?
You are entitled to draw your own conclusions.
this is what Reliance says. They sent a statement once this discussion was on, which says, media statement, AAP faces political extinction. So latching on to a draft and broadcasting it without any sense or context or the production sharing agreement is but to be expected. With 96% of the candidates losing their deposit in the general elections, the people of India have already told this party what they think of the leadership's obsession with negativity and lies. This is the Reliance statement on the subject. So on that, we are obviously leaving more questions than answers behind in this debate, but that's what the press club stands for. And we'll be always with you, Paranjoy, for raising questions. You may not have the answers, but you've got a right to raise questions, so we'll be with you. But before we end, can I request our chairman, Mr. Prakash Akolkar, to give a small token to our guests who've come a long distance, to Mani Shankarji. This is a collection of our best stories which won the awards last year, the Press Club Awards. Could I request Prakash to make a small presentation to Paranjoy? To Paranjoy, please. And to Govind and Kumar also. Yeah, these two are members of the club. I don't know why they're getting trophies and things, but anyway. So yeah, please, please give it. Now, since it's been brought, you can't take it away. So thanks so much. And